My name is Lisa Hallett, and I'm from California, the Bay Area. Currently live in DuPont, Washington, outside of Joint Base Lewis-McChord. And I was married to Captain John Hallett. And John was an infantry officer, and he was in company command of a unit in a striker brigade. And his unit deployed to southern Afghanistan in the summer of 2009. Together, John and I have 3 children, Jackson, Bryce, and Heidi. In 2008, John took company command in the fall, and John knew that his unit was preparing for deployment very shortly. We became pregnant, and we were due at the end of July. Heidi was due July 28th, and John left July 14th. I think the hardest point in John's life, and the only time I ever saw John cry, was the night before he left, when he was holding his boys and he's reading them a story, and he says, I love you so much. That was the hardest part. John had a job to do, and he did it well overseas. But I don't think it ever gets easier to say goodbye to your children. I'll see you in a year. And unfortunately, just that year, that heartbreak of saying goodbye to the children for a year became a lifetime. And at this point, it's very, very early in the deployment. We're about 6 weeks into the deployment. Nobody really knows how information is getting said. And then they have a script that they read, and they say that the Secretary of Defense regrets to inform you that your husband, Captain John Hallett, is believed to have perished. And then they continue. General Mathis called at that point, and he said, what can I do for you, Lisa? How can I help? And I said, they said believed. Is it true? And he said, I'm so sorry. John's not coming out. So I sat on the steps, and I just looked at these pictures of John, and your life flashes forward. And it's just absolute numbness and disbelief and despair all at once. I realized this is forever. This hard is forever. And then there came a point where I said, well, I can be stuck in hard, or I can develop systems and move forward and make this work. But it's not fair for them to lose 2 parents. They can't lose John and then lose me to sorrow. That's not fair. There are people that spend a lifetime looking for the perfect marriage. And I had it. I had a beautiful, happy marriage with 3 beautiful, happy, healthy children. And we were just a life on fast forward. My most major coping mechanism since John passed away has definitely been running. And running is how I've always dealt with the challenges that military life has offered my family. When John passed away, I had a 3-week-old baby. And the first thing I thought to do was to lace up my sneakers. So 2 days after John died, I put on my sneakers, I met up with a girlfriend. I remember the sun shining bright, and we pushed off on a run. I had just had a baby. It was the slowest, shortest run ever. But it was the first point I was able to connect with my grief and to move on. I needed to run in order to grieve. I needed to gather in order to know and remember that I wasn't alone. And I needed to create in order to help fuel meaning into John's death. So as we were reeling from the losses sustained in that deployment, the community back home really began to gather consistently. And Wear Blue Run to Remember was born. Remembering the Marines, the Navy, the Airmen, the Coast Guards, the National Guard, and the soldiers, all who gave their all and were pushing out in their honor. Because of the growth of Wear Blue Run to Remember, a short article was run in Runner's World about our family and our organization. And then one of the leaders in Folds of Honor contacted the editor at Runner's World. And then I followed up, and I got in contact with Folds of Honor, and it seemed like such a wonderful fit for our family. I've chosen to send our children to St. Francis Cabrini, which is a small Catholic private school. So by being engaged in the Folds of Honor Children's Fund program, we're able to be a part of a community that can really support my family And not only are my children Children's Fund recipients right now, but they're also future youth scholarship recipients. By taking Folds of Honor into the mix of my parenting scheme, it's like I have another voice backing me up and helping support me to the decision. Lisa, were you questioning Cabrini? Well, guess what? We're going to financially support you. We're going to help make that decision easier so that you really can provide the best education for your children. And Folds of Honor has helped take some of the anxiety of parenting when it comes to academics off of the plate. Because they're saying, I got you back, Lisa. I'm going to help you provide for your children so that even though they don't have their dad, they're going to have an academic foundation that's going to set them up for success.